Welcome to our week in review, the second episode. This is a lot easier than the first episode where there was 26 women that we were just getting to know. So we got to know them a little bit more during this episode. Sean starts off the episode and says, "If I had to guess, I think my wife was in that room last night." And Chris raises the hopes of all the women, but also increases the stakes and the pressure by saying, "I think this is working for Sean, and I can see him getting on one knee at the end of this." First date is with Sarah, the one-on-one date. And as a psychiatrist, I'm wondering, why did Sean choose Sarah? He's such a nurturing, caring, protective guy, and he chose the lady with a disability. Could it be that he's interested in her, or could it be that he has a lot of sympathy, for her, and she's been picked last probably many times because of her disability, so he wanted to pick her first. And that's a loving, kind thing, but we're wondering if he's falling in love with her as a disability or as her herself, and that's a difficult thing to tweeze out. They obviously shared a significant emotional experience. They fell from a skyscraper. I think it was about 36 stories. And it's always tough when you share an intense emotional experience with somebody. How do you separate the person from the experience? And even though you love the experience, is it the experience that you love, the person that you're with, or a combination of the two? Also, in that date, she brought up something of a past experience with a zip line and said, this is what her father told her. "Sarah, you need a guy that's strong enough to deal with your disability." And put that out there to Sean. And Sean said, "Well, I'm a man, and I see it as my role as a man to protect you." So this is a little bit of emotional blackmail. I don't think she did it on purpose, but now Sean has to figure out if he doesn't choose her or doesn't give her a rose, is that not protecting her? Is he not being a man? Can he only be a man if he proposes to her in the end, in the ultimate form of protection? So that's a little bit of a blackmail situation that Sean has a little bit of a bind. She was vague about her past. She didn't give a lot of information about who she was, nor a lot of depth about herself. She did talk about a past relationship that lasted 3 years, but he wasn't adventurous. And at the end, he gave her a rose and a kiss. But she had a lot of absolute statements, and a lot of sort of extreme statements, like, "He is everything I want. This is the best experience of my life, and he's the perfect one for me." So that was maybe just a little too extreme and not sort of realistic for where she was on the first date. The next scene is the group date. So 13 of them are selected for the group date. And this is a neat group date of Harlequin romance shooting for a book cover. And this could be a potentially very sleazy kind of situation with a lot of physical R-rated activity. But I think Sean took a potentially dangerous situation and made it rather wholesome and G-rated considering the circumstances. And I think if we remember some of the past contestants on The Bachelor and where they could have taken this, whether it was Ari or whether it was Ben F or some of the women that have been on the past that were a little significantly forward, as far as their physical advances and activities, I think Sean did a great job of taking a potentially dangerous situation and helping the women feel comfortable and move forward with it as best as the scenario would allow. Christy, being a past model, was very confident and excited about it, and she performed very well. Tiara was visibly upset, really bummed out. But she bragged about how she would take charge of the situation and have Sean fall for her. But she really didn't put up as much as she, at least bragged that she would. And I was a little disappointed that she was sort of more reserved and shy, had to be told what to do. And there didn't seem to be any chemistry at all between Sean and Tiara. Katie, Casey, and Tiara had a lot of negativity, a lot of sort of negative expressions and statements that they made, which you just don't like to see. Leslie M was fun, but she was a little bit awkward, whether she was the one that was going first or just being in that physical situation. She later revealed she's a Southern girl, doesn't like to make the first move, and here's sort of a first move kind of situation. Christy and Selma also did great, and in the end, Christy won this competition, but I think they should have given all three of the top finishers one book cover. I think that would have been fair and would have been a neat way to reward them. Next, those 13 went to a pool party, and at the pool party we saw a little bit more of each one of them. Leslie M was a little bit awkward with Sean, and she sort of went out of her character, showed a little bit of insecurity by doing something that's not usual for her by making the first move. So she had a second chance to go back to Sean and awkwardly kissed him, and it was just an uncomfortable moment, I think, for most viewers, sort of watching her be a little bit outside of her skin, which could be a good thing that she risked a little bit, but could be a negative that she felt that she couldn't just be herself around Sean and had to do something different. Casey B's dress was way too short, but she felt good that she went from the friend mold or zone, as she called it, to the girlfriend zone. I'm not quite sure Sean put her in the girlfriend zone, but she felt that way, and she got a rose. Catherine had a great statement. I'm vegan, but I love the beef. And she seemed to be very comfortable with Sean. Selma, he said, you're my wife, to Selma. Just put that out there as a statement as he was describing something. So that was a pretty deep and powerful statement. Tiara, again, Sean's interaction, stating to her that you look bothered. You look like you have a difficult time. And he sort of, instead of prying with that and sort of digging a little deeper with Tiara, he sort of let her off the hook and said, yeah, I was like that my first time on The Bachelorette, and it's a struggle and it's difficult, but trust me, I really like you. I think he had an opportunity there to pry into Tiara a little bit and find out more of what she's made of and her character, but he let her off the hook. Then came the one-on-one date with Desiree. Desiree was a lot of fun. Sean pulled a prank, similar to what he did in the situation with Emily. Desiree handled it wonderfully, didn't get flustered by it, was herself, was natural, took it in stride, and was a very good sport. But she also, it was neat to see Desiree ask Sean more about Sean and sort of evaluate him or interview him a little bit and have him reveal more about himself. They talked about family. They shared family values and family of origin. Both seemed to be healthy for each. But she had some fun and depth to her that was nice to see, and Sean rewarded that with a rose. They also had some nice physical chemistry as well. It wasn't over the top, it wasn't too passionate, but based on the interaction they had, I think it was appropriate physical chemistry they showed. And Sean said that she fits both in the best friend category, but also wife qualities that he saw in her as well. Then there was the cocktail party. The cocktail party, everyone feels way more connected to Sean after that group date than their one-on-one date, so the stakes are getting higher. Everybody gets a little bit more territorial, a little bit jealous of each other. There's a lot more hope, and they have a lot more invested in this, so their comments start to get a little bit more extreme. Robin had the best question when her one-on-one time with Sean. She asked Sean, do you like black women? Was just straightforward with it, noticing the different cultural diversity that was there at this particular season of The Bachelor. And Sean came out and said, I'm looking for somebody with wit, with intelligence, with sense of humor, and is sweet. Physical appearances and the qualifications don't matter to him. As he says, he's dated a Persian, a Hispanic, and a black woman in the past. So that really put Robin at ease. Robin, I think, has a lot of nice depth to her. She's more of a thinker. She's not as emotional and as passionate as some of the other women are. And I'm not quite sure if she has some of those feminine qualities that Sean might like, but it was neat to see her ask that very difficult question. Amanda was, she's sort of in the Tiara mold, very isolative to herself, doesn't really have social skills with the other women, doesn't even pretend to be social with them, putting up walls, very negative body language comments. But then around Sean, she, switches, the switch flips, and it's like Jekyll and Hyde. She becomes a sweet, nice person with Sean. Selma, I just had a great interaction with Sean. A lot of chemistry there seems to be between them. A lot of nice conversation and depth and diversity to their conversation. But Selma also evaluated Sean a little bit and said, how could a guy like Sean like me and Amanda that are so totally different? So she was sort of evaluating Sean and what Sean's tastes were and what his maturity was. Then came the rose ceremony. It was neat that he gave roses to all the women that he didn't take. There were 4 women that did not go on dates, so Sean gave a rose to each one of those women. And he told Diana that he felt it was unfair to keep her away from her kids when he didn't really see long-term plans with her. And that was nice that he let her go and let her down gently. Then they had previews for next episodes. And there was intensity and emotions. And boy, that equals a lot of drama. So that was This Week in Review. Thanks.